Hey there, Internet, and welcome to Underground Lucha Things, the Lucha Underground Retrospective, where I go through and I discover the show for the first time ever. Literally, I have never seen any episodes of Lucha Underground until I started doing this very show. And it is kind of amazing that I didn't. I don't know why I didn't. The more I watch this, the dumber I feel for not doing so. But you know what? Joining me on this Lucha adventure is somebody who did watch the show back when it came out, who isn't as dumb and naive as I am. Coming in from the Isle of Hawaii, the one, the only, Angie, a fan of Midgard Mana. Angie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I wouldn't say that. You just, you were busy being an actual wrestler. So I was just being a fan. So it was way easy for me to keep up because I didn't have, wrestling things I needed to do.
Yeah, I wish I had known I could have had lucha things to do. God. But yeah, well, this is season 1, episode 35, Fuel to the Fire, from July 8th, 2015. And we open with Pentagon, like in his secret ninja dojo somewhere, reporting to his master, who sounds weirdly like Dr. Claw. And the master says to, basically he's saying he's gonna attack, he's telling him to attack somebody who at his weakest points. And Pentagon keeps implying that, that someone is ducking him, and that this Ian Hodgkinson will be a sacrifice. And I am confused right now because I'm like, who the fuck is Ian Hodgkinson? And I'll tell you later because I actually had to look it up because I'm like, okay, I feel dumb. I'm like, normally I wouldn't spoil myself, but I'm like, did I miss something this entire time? And I don't think I would probably be the only one confused by this. And I'll talk about it when we get to it. But first, let's talk about the match. It's the Mack versus Cage. And, dude,
Hoss fight! Hoss fight!
Hoss fight, yes.
Like I talked about a couple episodes ago. Hoss fight!
Yeah, in fact, my first line that I wrote here was, they go ham, just punching each other and throwing their meat around. The Mack has shockingly early control of Cage, but it quickly evens out. There's a very impressive stalling suplex from Cage, and the Mack shows a lot of resilience against the power of Cage. And the Mack even gets a surprise win with like a slide-through roll-up with all his weight on Cage, and the crowd's chanting, "You got beat." And that was kind of cool. That was
Oh yeah.
That was pretty entertaining.
Hell yeah. That was very feel good, man. Especially seeing them knowing what I know now. Hell yeah, man. Very feel good. Very feel good. And yeah, like a couple episodes ago where I talked about the Haas fight I didn't know I needed because they were in two opposite sides of, or they were in the Fatal 4-Way. Yeah. Now we got it. And it was worth it. It felt good. And I liked it the first time because, my dad always was very much more for it's always more fun watching two big guys fight each other. But especially now, knowing what I know about Cage and the Mack, seeing them perform in other promotions, it just felt extra good.
Yeah, and we go to the locker room where there's Son of Havoc there, and Katrina teleports in to tell him that her disciples of death are coming for his cold. But first, 1,000 deaths is coming for him tonight, and Evil Lee shows up to tell Katrina to get away from him, bitch. And the lights flicker as Katrina flings Evil Lee, and when the lights come on, Evil Lee is in Girl on Top, and it is some of the worst acting ever as Angelico walks in on them and is like, "Oh, don't tell me you two are back together." And they both just tell him to shut up. You look like you were highly entertained by this.
I loved it. I'm biased because I love this trios team. And I've always really liked this trios team, even from the first time I watched it. And I wasn't as knowledgeable about wrestling or these particular performers then as I was now. But just watching their whole coming together as a team and their sort of dysfunction, and now this adding to it, just again, a lot of lucha things and a lot of things in general bring a smile to my face. This brought a smile to my face. And anytime I get to see Ivelisse and Helico and Son of Havoc, being who they are, earlier days before I really got to know them, outside of Underground Lucha Things or Lucha Underground in general. Yeah. Just good stuff. Can't do any wrong for me.
For sure. And next up, we get Vampiro interviewing Pentagon Jr., and he's apologizing for getting his face the past few times and crossing the line. And Pentagon won't answer the question about who his master is, but does personally ask whether Vampiro is a coward for not facing him at Ultima Lucha. And Vampiro just wants to be a family man, and Pentagon continues to get in his face and challenge him to Ultima Lucha before walking off. And that's who Ian is. That is Ian Hodgkinson. I did not realize, that's Vampiro's real name. We've been given no clue to that this entire time. And now I have this information. I'm like, oh, this makes way more sense now.
Yeah. And Vampiro himself is a legend in the business. And getting to tease a match between him and Penta, just, I didn't appreciate it then when I first watched it as much as I do now after knowing a little bit more, going back and kind of researching Vampiro a little bit more, getting to see a little bit more of who he was before Lucha Underground, his sort of style. And I haven't watched it yet, but the documentary that I think is out or is about to be out about Vampiro just really adds a lot.
For sure. And we have the matchup next with Mil Muertes, accompanied by Katrina, versus Son of Havoc with Angelico and Ivelisse. And Ivelisse is still on crutches. Son of Havoc tries to use some early momentum attacks, but Mil quickly gains dominance and takes Son of Havoc out of the ring, throwing him into the crowd and even attacking him with a chair without getting disqualified somehow. Son of Havoc also gets powerbombed onto that unbreakable commentary table they have. Like, I love it. In this company, like, if you get thrown on that table is not moving. Yeah, that's
it. It was less a table in the traditional sense and more just like a desk, and that is just so sturdy that it doesn't even like look like it's about to buckle. Just hard and unforgiving.
Very unforgiving. And when Son of Havoc is like, he's also dragged over to Dario's office and thrown into Dario's office. And when Son of Havoc is thrown into the ring, he gets a second wind and is able to deliver some flying attacks to Mil before celebrating with the Believers. Mil survives a double stomp and a moonsault as he rallies. And we even get a show of strength that Son of Havoc is able to get Mil onto his shoulders. Son of Havoc gets a chance at a shooting star press, but Mil moves out of the way. And but we see on the outside that Katrina is approaching Angelico, and Ivelisse just like limps up to Katrina, and the two are facing off. Katrina lifts up the stone, and it summons the Putty Patrol to appear behind Angelico and attack him, while Katrina and Ivelisse are doing things and strangling each other on the way down. And Son of Havoc does a dive to clear out the Putty Patrol, but when he gets back in the ring, it's enough time for Mil to deliver a spear and a flatliner to Son of Havoc for the win. And this time, the lick of death is straight to the mouth of Son of Havoc, like grabbed by the beard, as the Putty Patrol also joins them to I know they have a different name, but I'm just going to keep calling them the Putty Patrol. But as the Putty Patrol joins Katrina and Mil to celebrate. How did you like this? Because this seems like something you would very much enjoy.
I did. I loved it. Besides the obvious reason. I actually also really liked seeing Son of Havoc get moments where he could rally. This is somebody that the Temple, the Believers, really got behind I think, a little bit more organically than they did other people, because he's been around since almost near the first episode, not the first episode. They've had a lot of time to really sympathize and grow to like Son of Havoc under his sort of a henpecked boyfriend vibe with Evilise, and forming this trios team and all that. So they've had a lot of time to really come to like him, and getting to see him get that rally, I think, was not only super important to the believers, but also people that have gotten to see even the outside promos and the video packages and everything else, to show that, yeah, you may think that, he's bitched out by Evilise, that he isn't as flashy as Angelico, but he could, he stood decently well against Mil Muertes. I don't think anyone really thought he was going to come out winning, but it wasn't a complete and total squash. You know what I mean? It wasn't sad to watch as much as some other matches are.
Yeah, no, he still looked very good here. You're absolutely right. And it still took a lot of extra to make sure that he was down. So for sure, we have Tejano in the ring cutting a promo in English, saying that he's never been a good dude, but he has always been Mexicano. And he talks about what Chavo has done against the people of Mexico, and he challenges him to a match at Ultimo Lucha. He's attacked by the crew from behind, and eventually Blue Demon Jr. just lightly jogs out to the ring, and the crew clears the ring, but suddenly they slide him a chair, and Blue Demon picks it up like he's going to guard them off, and turns around and hits Tejano with it. So I'm like, oh, is Chavo really under that mask? No, it's Blue Demon who continues to beat down Tejano, who's busted open, and Blue Demon says that Tejano isn't Mexico, that he is Mexico, and at Ultimo Lucha it will be Tejano versus Blue Demon Jr. So that was a cool swerve. That was a really cool.
Interesting twist. Definitely shows that maybe Chavo's words got under the skin of Blue Demon. Yeah, and especially because Blue Demon has been so established and emphasized as a good guy, especially against Chavo. Definitely shocking. The first time I watched it, and even this time, because I totally forgot about this part, honestly. Shocking to see Blue Demon smack someone with a chair at this point. Yeah, it just hits hard. No pun intended.
Intend your puns, you coward.
I didn't intend it, honestly, until I started saying it. That's why I needed to add that. I don't make puns on purpose. I don't give my friend that power.
But what we have here in the main event is an Atomico match, apparently. I guess it's a 4-on-4 tag match. Alberto El Patron with Sexy Star, Aerostar, and Drago versus Johnny Mundo with Hernandez, Jack Evans, and Superfly. And the team captains start the match off, but you see Mundo quickly tags in Jack Evans, who Alberto gives a huge slap to, which reverberates through the temple. It is great to see how every time Mundo gets tagged in with Patron, he's able to quickly avoid Patron and tag out. A lot of flippy things to the outside from the baby faces, but when Patron prepares to dive, Mundo pulls him to the outside of the ring, and Mundo runs off, and Patron chases him into, I don't know, a supply closet? I don't know the outlay of the temple yet. I'm not sure. Aerostar gets featured for a bit. He gives Jack Evans a springboard back elbow, and Jack Evans does a backflip bump off of that, and I've never seen anyone bump that off of that move. So, Aerostar must have a lot of mass behind him for that. Sexy Star gets in the ring, and Mundo seems less than concerned about her. Sexy Star, even though Sexy Star is able to just fight off Superfly and Jack Evans, Hernandez easily overpowers her. And Alberto clears out the ring and hits a cross armbreaker on Jack Evans, but that is broken up with an end of the world. And Sexy Star delivers a crossbody to Mundo, who rolls through and pin Sexy Star while holding the tights. And I don't know what it is about Sexy Star's gear, but everyone always seems to have issue trying to find the tights to hold. But yeah, Team Mundo wins this by cheating.
Definitely interesting. I feel like that moment, especially with the handful of tights, as they say, really solidified Johnny Mundo being the heel in this. Other things you could kind of explain away, but this was very solidly a heel move, and especially when you look at the people that he was teamed with, specifically Superfly, who just turned, Hernandez, who had the killer promo against Drago, and Jack Evans, who's kind of not totally been established as one way or another at this juncture, versus someone like, Drago and Sexy Star, that made it very clear that Mundo's supposed to be on the side of the bad guys. And I felt like, as far as the emotion for me, especially at that very end, it was how do I put this? The first time I watched it, and even this time too, because I also kind of forgot about this part, was fuck. You know what I mean? Like, seeing that very definitive heel shit from Johnny Mundo and the rest of his team. So, I mean, I liked the match because I like heel Mundo. I think he's effective as a heel. I think he works very well as a heel. Getting to see Superfly come back as a heel, getting to see Sexy Star in general, getting to see just everyone in that match. That match itself was great. All of these people, I shouldn't generalize guys, because of course Sexy Star was also in the match, but all of them are very talented performers, and getting to have little brief moments with each of them, like Hernandez and Sexy Star, that's a match that I didn't think we would get to see. These two very mismatched sorts of superstars. So very interesting to me. But yeah, this match definitely made it very clear where people stood, especially in the finish.
Oh yeah, and speaking of finish, after this match, they're doing the sign off. We're about to go home. We're getting the credits. We're about to get the boom, but no. Pentagon Jr. comes to the announce table and kicks Vampiro in the back of his head before hitting him with a chair. He also then dumps gasoline on Vampiro, which I'm pretty sure is some sort of OSHA violation. But Pentagon Jr. lights a light. He has a Zippo, and he lights it and says that if he's also kind of really close to the fluid, so he says that if he doesn't accept his challenge, he will go up in flames, and that he has a week to decide whether or not to face him at Ultimo Lucha. And after that challenge, he blows out the lighter, and the show goes off. Angie, how did you feel about this show and this final segment? To let me know.
What a segment, honestly. As someone that now watching back has come to appreciate Vampiro and Pentagon Jr. more, especially seeing where both of them have ended up post Lucha Underground. That just made me even more excited for the things to come, I guess I should say. And Vampiro isn't someone to be toyed with, and neither is Pentagon Jr. These are two dudes that really assert themselves as far as dominance and violence, for lack of a better explanation or word. And yeah, it got me really, really hyped for what could possibly be to come. And I mean, also, this is different part that is unrelated to wrestling, but I enjoy watching things being set on fire. So the promise of that, even though it was Vampiro that might have been set on fire, was exciting. The show itself as a whole, like I say with a lot of Lucha Underground episodes, and like I think many people have echoed as we've seen on social media, rewatching Lucha Underground and seeing all of these things that perhaps we missed the first time we watched it, or maybe we didn't catch an episode here or there, or have a new appreciation for knowing now what we didn't know then. It just always feels so much more satisfying looking at, you know, the interactions between Team Havoc, the Trios team, between Mil Muertes and Katrina, getting to see, you know, Vampiro be a badass. Anytime I get to see Sexy Star, even though I know she's blackballed from the wrestling community, it always brings a smile to my face because she was the first, I think, I think besides China, who was, you know, obviously more swole than a lot of dudes in general, getting to see Sexy Star, smaller, I guess, in stature, go toe to toe against a lot of dudes. Really, I don't know. I related to that a lot the first time I watched it, and getting to relive that emotion has been really nice, especially this year where everything's been going to shit. And yeah, getting to have all of these moments, even with Chavo, who I remember, I think, a little bit more with rose-colored glasses when I look back on his career, because we haven't really seen him recently outside of Glow very much. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and especially this episode with everything going on and building up to Ultima Lucha. Definitely super exciting and a lot of fun to relive and rewatch.
And yeah, I very much enjoyed this too. Again, minus the small confusion about who the hell Ian Ian was.
Isn't that such good heel shit though? Using his shoot name instead of his wrestler name. Like I really appreciated that even more this time. Now that you know who it is, I can talk about a little bit more. But I really enjoyed that because it felt very much like an overt disrespect that was meant to incense. And it hit harder for me now that I understood what that meant, as far as calling a wrestler by their real name versus by their chosen performer name. Yeah, that definitely had a lot more bite to it this time around than when I watched it the first time.
Yeah, and like I said, I've had to love the Mack and Cage. Just, I love a good Haas fight. Who doesn't love a good Haas fight?
Haas fights.
Yeah, Haas fights are great, and I'm intrigued with this Evilise Angelico, Son of Havoc, versus Katrina thing.
And the Putty Patrol.
Yeah, and the Putty Patrol. That is amazing. I'm very curious if I can ever find out who they actually were underneath those, because those are full bodysuits. So I have no idea. Maybe they'll get unmasked at some point. I don't know. But overall, I enjoyed this. But you know what, Angie? Let everybody know where they can enjoy you.
All right. So I am part of 2 shows based out of Hawaii. The first one and my main one is Mid-Card Mana, based over here on the Big Island. We talk a little bit more about wrestling current events, do unboxing videos, stuff like that. Maybe if I can coordinate well enough, me and Sam Kill of the Wrestling Connoisseur can do some G1 videos, because the G1 is going. It sure is going, and my bracket's already busted. Anyway, I'm also part of Valley Arrow Collective's Ringside, which is a little bit goofier. We talk about our favorite finishing moves, why GOD is always going to be my favorite tag team of all time, stuff like that. And then I am on wrestling social media as Fumiko Mega, pretty much anywhere that you could have social media.
And you can find me here at youtube.com/FriscoFlame, or you can find me elsewhere online as our Felix Venture or Frisco Flame. You could find us on any podcast app by searching for Underground Lucha Things, or search Frisco Flame or Underground Lucha Things on Etsy. See what you find. I have a big pin board, including lots of pins. All right, but you know what, guys? For myself, for Angie, peace out, party peoples. We will see you next time with more Underground Lucha Things.